Roll Tide, everybody. It's time for another episode of Elephant in the Room. That is Jake Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie hanging out with you here on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel like we do a lot. And before we do anything else, I want to bring on the architect of the national championship in 2015 with this. All right, there it is. The Open's played, and now it's time to jam out. There's Jake Coker. What's up, Jake?
So you're always creative in bringing that up. You are. And I just realized we got the wrong Daniel Moore up in the top right.
What? Yeah.
Did you create that?
No, I didn't create that. You want the one that you're on.
Well, something else I can blame on Dunaway.
This is all Dunaway's fault. Well, we got a lot to talk about on the show today. Let's talk some recruiting. You know, right out of the chute, Alabama trying to make some headway with some of the elite prospects in the South. One of those guys goes to your old high school, Anthony Tank Jones. He has made his list of visits, and he'll be at Alabama the last visit on June 20th. But he's going to be at Auburn this weekend. He's going to Miami, Texas A&M, and Oregon. This guy, he's a five-star. He all I hear is that he's just a man amongst boys out on the football field.
Yeah. I mean, look, the guy, he's physical. He can play. He's going to be a player no matter where he goes. What are his top three right now? Auburn, Alabama, and I want to say somebody out west. Was it Oregon?
Oregon, I think, but he's got five. He's going to 5 visits. So, I mean, even though there's a list of 6, if you're not going to pick a school you're not going to. So I'm going to say it's down to 5. Bama, Auburn, Oregon, the schools that I just mentioned he's going to go visit, Miami and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I was at an event the other day, and I was talking to a coach that's going to see him, trying to recruit him, trying to recruit him. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to go see him. We're probably not going to get him, but I'm going to try to run the price up on him."
That's so weird the way that things are done now.
It's so weird, man. I mean, and you know, before I heard that, I never even thought about it. But it's so funny. Some of that I mean, some of these guys are going to throw numbers out at these players, and you know, there's a certain amount of money that these collectives are putting together each year. And from my understanding, the big time programs, you know, I would say, you know, big SEC, you know, Big Ten, that number's around 20 million. Now, I'm sure that now Texas, I know, is higher than that. Ohio State's higher than that. But from what I hear, that 20 million mark is kind of where the annual spend is from a collective or, you know, internal group, wherever the money's coming from. I hear 20 million is about where that number is, right? And yeah, I have never really thought about it. You know, other teams coming in knowing that they're not going to get a guy, but they're going to run that number up. So when they don't get them, other teams are spending more than they wanted to. I mean,
yeah, right. It makes sense. I mean, it's business.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just hadn't crossed my mind. It's pretty obvious, but I mean, I thought that was so funny when he told me that. Which, you know, I mean, look, Tank's the St. Paul's guy. I hope he gets as much money as he can possibly get. But yeah, sounds like everybody's making an effort to make sure that you pay the most for whichever guys you get.
Yeah, right.
And take away from whoever else, you know, you can afford.
And I remember there was a time when the Mobile area, the Gulf, LA, Lower Alabama, we call it, wasn't controlled by Alabama. It just wasn't. And LSU got players out of there. Auburn got players out of there. Florida State got players out of there, including you. Then something happened. And that was that Nicholas Lou Saban became the head coach at Alabama. And one of the first things he did was go down there and get those players.
Yeah.
And kind of change the dynamic in the state of Alabama. I feel like for Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff, that these guys have to do the same thing. They cannot let players like Tank go somewhere else. I mean, to me, it's all out right now to bring in guys like Tank, guys like Crowell, the running back from Jackson. I know he's not in the Mobile area, but he's a South Alabama guy. Just because I think you gotta win those in-state battles, and you need those players that understand not just like Tank grew up an Alabama fan. Like, it's not just about how good he is on the field. It's also understanding the culture and continuing the legacy of we want the best players in the state to wear Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys from Alabama, now don't get me wrong, when I was at Alabama, there's a lot of guys that weren't from the state of Alabama, but had the intensity and the understanding of what Alabama meant. I mean, there were a lot of guys that brought a lot of heat to each practice, each game. I feel like when you're around Coach Saban for a year, or you got developed by Coach Saban and you're around that mentality. It was built from the guys that were there from the start of Coach Saban being there, right? I mean, and then that either you got in or you got out. That mentality was pretty infectious. But I think, to your point, when Kalen's trying to build a team and build a culture there, I definitely think that having some guys at least from Alabama that can carry that torch and understand the intensity and the culture of the state and the program pretty quickly, assimilate to that is going to be nothing but helpful. I mean, I'm from Mobile. I committed to Florida State out the gate because they offered me first. But I remember, in my offer meeting with Jimbo, he said he was taking one quarterback, and he said, just prepare yourself. As soon as I offer you, Coach Saban's gonna offer you as well. He's like, he offers everybody I offer, and I was thinking about that, which it did happen as soon as I got offered by Florida State. Coach Saban offered, but then you think about, I was going to Florida State being a Mobile guy, which is not what Coach Saban wanted. Have Alabama guys leave and go to other schools. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. A guy that he trusted a lot, and Jimbo Fisher offered me a scholarship, and I had not been to a camp at Alabama. I mean, I still remember I left Ole Miss when Houston Nutt was there, and I did not get an offer after I thought I was. Didn't get an offer, and my dad and I were supposed to go to an Alabama camp after that, and I remember Coach Pruitt came to my office, and I was 16, 17 at the time. I remember Coach Pruitt coming down to my high school and saying they weren't taking a quarterback, and I was like, man, after not getting that offer, I was just ready to go home and figure out the next camp trip. And so, I mean, when I went to Florida State, they offered me right off the bat. It meant a ton to me. I had never even met Jimbo. He saw me throw for 2 hours, gave me an offer, and then Alabama came on afterwards. It was a little upsetting to me because I felt like, Florida State offers me right off the bat. Damian Craig coming to my practices, felt like I owed it to him. And but I think me being from Alabama is really what made Coach Saban want me to come there out of high school even more. I mean, it meant a lot to him, to have other teams come in and steal people out of your backyard, and with that potential of them turning into good players and leading other teams to playoffs and national championships. I mean, I think that's a real fear for coaches to lose guys within their own state.
Mm-hmm. You were probably like a tough guy too to figure out because you weren't always a quarterback, and obviously Jimbo Fisher, one of the best quarterback whisperers out there. I'm sure that like Alabama, you were on the radar, but they just weren't really sure what to expect. Maybe a little bit of a late bloomer, but Florida State, obviously Jimbo saw it right away. And that's what great scouts do. I mean, and you can say what you want to say about Jimbo, but he's known for that ability to kind of be able to look and anticipate what someone's going to be further down the line. And he did a great job of getting quarterbacks when he was at Florida State, not just you.
Yeah, well, we had, when I was coming up, I wasn't sure if I was playing basketball or football in college. I guess if there was a close comparison between me and him, Riley Leonard, I feel like our paths were pretty similar. He started at Duke, and I think, I'm not sure if Jimbo ever saw him throw or he ever went to an A&M camp, but he's the kind of guy I think Jimbo would have offered in a heartbeat. He was a guy who came on late to the football scene, and or at least I say came on late to the football scene. I don't think he knew he wanted to play football until later on, or he didn't understand the potential he had in football until he probably got a David Morris, a quarterback coach around him that saw his potential and really made him believe somewhat similar to me. And when those guys see, I had a big arm. I was a pretty good athlete, and he saw that and felt like he could mold me to his system. And he was so good at coaching quarterbacks. There's no doubt that there's some coaches that if they've got an eye for talent and they know that they can build you mentally, they can do it. There's some projects that I don't know if some certain coaches are equipped to handle and really progress players, but he's one of them, And so if you're going somewhere to get better, he's one that's going to hammer the details into you and make you a better quarterback. I don't know, if I go anywhere else out of high school, that I progress and get better at quarterback like I did at Florida State right off the bat, to be honest with you, with the coaches I had there. And I'm thankful for that time. But man, I'm sure thankful that Coach Saban offered me after I decided to transfer.
Yeah, right. Well, the world's a lot easier now when it comes to transferring than it was back then. But at the end of the day, you being
I'll be honest, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have transferred if Alabama wasn't an option. That just wouldn't have happened. Had a lot of good buddies at Florida State that I did not want to leave, but Alabama's a once in a lifetime type opportunity in my mind. And again, when you get hurt as the backup and you got a lot of time on your own and a guy younger than you starting, a lot of things roll through your mind, and I just couldn't get Alabama out of my head, thinking I may never play at Florida State, but I could potentially have an opportunity to play at Alabama. It was a no-brainer for me,
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're down in history as a championship quarterback at the school you grew up wanting to play in, and that's kind of my point about Tank. So here's a guy that loves the school and grew up watching games, and a lot of these top players in the state of Alabama all kind of the same thing, like they grew up loving Alabama, and 5-star, 4-star, whatever, 3-star. You want as many of those guys around just because that helps your culture, like.
Yeah,
people that appreciate what it means.
To all these guys and tell them, there's definitely going to be schools that can offer you more money than Alabama, but if you grew up pulling for Alabama, I can just tell you when on a Saturday, say you got a 11 o'clock game or whatever, and you're hanging out at the house after the game and Alabama comes on, you've got a little something biting at you, The team you pulled for, and Alabama's different. Alabama, and I would say Auburn too. People that love Auburn. I think similarly to how they love Alabama or we love Alabama. There's always that place in you when you're somewhere else and you knew you had that chance to go to Alabama that you're like, man, am I missing out on something here? I mean, it definitely eats at you a little bit.
We'll be keeping an eye on it.
It's going to be something that sticks in your mind,
Yeah, right.
And having said that, I mean, I hope that we are. Again, I don't think that. I hate to build a barrier, right off the bat. But this era of college football, I don't think anybody will be as successful as Coach Saban. I don't think it's possible until hopefully Coach Saban creates rules that provide a little bit more clarity in the college football scenario. But right now, given what we have, I don't think there will ever be that level of success anywhere, ever, unless the school just dominates with money. I mean, Ohio State, Texas, that's about the only way. Oregon, but when Alabama in our prime, man, that was always prime time, always the topic of conversation. I mean, you just look at Tuscaloosa, how much it grew in the almost 20 years Coach Saban was there. I mean, it had an impact, and Alabama was the capital of college football.
Title town, baby.
Yeah. I mean, when you're from there, it's hard not to think about it again when you're taking advantage of another opportunity, but it's on your mind.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. We'll see what happens on the recruiting trail. One thing I do want to tell you guys, though, is that we have teamed up with Rowback. Father's Day is almost here, and you want to look good in those Rowback shirts. Jake sleeps in his. They're so comfortable.
Got one on right now.
You got one on right now. Look at you. Room 20% off. Oh, yeah. They are. Honestly, they really are great. Like, I'm getting one I got one last year, my crab one for Father's Day. This year, we'll see. Maybe they restock the crab and football one I wanted. Well, whatever it is, right? Rowback.com, promo code ROOM20, 20% off your first order. If you've already used it on one email address, I'm not saying use the wife's or the kids or your backup, but 20% off is 20% off, Jake. And their gear is great.
Hey, it is what it is.
When I'll never forget the first time I met Jalen Milroe, and before I could even really talk to him, you asked him if he had any Rowback gear.
Yeah, he stiffed me.
He was like, "Not for you, buddy." Hey, get in the comment section. We love you guys for being here with us. Say Roll Tide with a thumbs up.
Yeah, I pat him on the ass and he shit in my hand. I mean, I was doing everything I could to get that Rowback stuff. It didn't work out.
Look at you, man. That's how I feel about this podcast. Pat you on the ass and you shit in my hand. I'm just trying to lead us to a good show. We haven't gotten fired and we're over 150 shows, so that's good. That's good, but with stuff like that, stories like that, we'll be out on the street.
Well, I guess hopefully you can get it out if it's that bad.
No, I'm just kidding. Just roll with me, would you?
If you're a fan of the show, you've heard worse. I know that.
That's true. That snake story.
Okay, man. That snake story has cast a wide shadow. I can't outrun it.
Oh, man.
It all originated from Shanks starting a story, and then I just remember it popping in my head. I was like, damn, I got to say this. There's no going back.
Shanks so funny, too, man. He's such a good guy. Offensive line coach at
Davidson High School, where he graduated.
All back to where it all started.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be good for those kids, man. It's going to be really good for those kids. Always got a smile on his face, man. Can't beat it.
No, I know. No, it's like, so did you ever play? And then he's just looking up like he's like on the wall and a giant picture of him.
I remember I took Josh Casher up to a spring game when I was going to this is my senior year in high school. I took Josh Casher up to a spring game at Florida State because he was being recruited by Rick Trickett at Florida State. And at that time, Shank was he was committed to Florida State, so he was there too. And I'm sitting there eating lunch with my dad and Josh and and Shank walks over and Josh gets up, and it was like looking at David and Goliath, man. I mean, Shank was up here and Josh was looking up like this. Shank's like, man, you're a little small, aren't you? And I thought Josh is going to be on his ass like a cat. It's so damn funny. We got to get Josh on the show, man. We got to get him on with Ryan. The people would be very pleased. They would love it.
Good show. That'd be a good show for us.
Oh yeah.
So I guess the last topic on today's show is just Coach Saban being asked about this commission that the president's putting together. And I want to clarify something to you guys. This isn't about politics. So, like if I mention President Trump or Nick Saban, one's a Republican and one's a Democrat. Doesn't matter, because the only way that we're really going to get college football reform is that people that are on both sides of the aisle get together, because it's going to take that many votes to like pass a bill. But I mean, I feel like we're all kind of at a spot here where if we don't do something about the game, it's going to come off the rails. And that's something that Saban has been adamant about, not taking NIL away from the kids and an opportunity to earn the right to make some cash. But it's more about having a system that would work, not pay for play.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I was saying, it's kind of wild that, again, in the scenario we are right now, I mean, I get it, but I'm sitting here listening to mention the story I told at the beginning of the show. It's kind of wild that coaches are running the price up on recruits when they know that they're not going to get them.
Yeah,
it's a wild thing to think about, and that adds another piece of the puzzle too, because I don't even know where you say you're competing with or maybe not even competing with Alabama, Ohio State, and Oregon. I mean, the problem that it puts Alabama in is that, look, we've got a good NIL foundation, for a good sized school, but when you're competing against guys with double the cash flow, it makes it hard to compete at that level. Alabama, you run the price up and Alabama can't compete. Your upper level in terms of, financial strength, I would say Alabama's, upper middle tier, I guess. But
yeah,
but when the price gets driven up and you're in a bidding war, I mean, Ohio State and Texas are winning all day, A&M, all those. But we got to find something.
Figured out.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know how you do it unless you put a cap on it. I mean, the rev sharing, I think, brings a little bit of a more even playing field. But yeah, put a cap on it is about the only way I can think that there's any solution here. I mean, you basically have to mirror the NFL rules. And I'm usually one to say, let the market dictate, but this is going to be a tough one. You gotta, at some point, you gotta stop coming here, and it's kind of like every now and then you stop a merger or acquisition because there's a potential monopoly type situation at stake. I think here we are, we're arriving at that level.
Well, I hope they figure it out. And it really is going to take a lot of people to do that. to come up with a system that works, where it's not pay for play. And then, the Texas schools, they just might decide to spend, why not spend $100 million on the roster? Why not spend? I mean, there's no rules on it. I mean, why not? Right.
I wish that it was Coach Saban, Tommy Tuberville, and Mike Leach in that committee, and it was all filmed. I'd love to see those conversations.
Yeah.
I'd love to gather Mike Leach's opinions. I hate that he's gone. That was a character, but it's going to take some real creative thinking to get past all this. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I want to remind you, too, that our show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi, hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham, 2 hours and change. We love having you over there. Dancing Rabbit Golf Course is the Augusta that you can play. It is an amazing course, multi-million-dollar facility. The Azaleas, the Oaks, 2 fantastic golf courses. Philip M. Steakhouse for afterwards when you're sitting around talking with your friends. Table games and slots, amazing slot selection at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casino. You got Geyser Falls, the water park, and the spa. Check it out for yourself, Pearl River Resort. We appreciate them for being part of our show on a daily basis. Have a great weekend, Jake.
Roll Tide. It's going to be a good one.
Roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.